Hello, English 3050. How's everyone been doing? How are my awesomes today? Welcome to week two. Apologies for the tardiness here. I had some things I've had to deal with over the weekend, and they kind of bled into the week a little bit. So finally getting back on track. So I appreciate your patience. But I do want to at least post the week two overview, kind of give you some place to kind of get started, kind of tack on to what we were thinking about last week. Recall last week we talked about, or I should say we read about and we posted about, and you all did an awesome job talking about what technical communication is. We're thinking about those basic design principles. We might call them design elements. I think our authors, Kramer and Bernhardt, call them design guidelines, some things we can kind of think about. White space, think about typography, seeing the page as a grid. Some of these basic things we're going to start to talk about and start to apply them this week in thinking about Project 1A. We'll start talking about Project 1A this week. We'll start talking about Project 1B and kind of getting it started because Project 1B, recall, is going to kind of go throughout the whole semester, and every single thing that we do is going to go on that space. So we'll have that going on. So this week we're going to continue that conversation. Can continue reading about the specific projects. We'll continue to talk about the specific principles of what technical communication is, according to our authors. This delivery of, or this transmission, right, of information from, in this case, going to be from you to a specific audience for a specific purpose, right? And then we're going to apply technical communication design principles, beginning with the resume, to see the resume as a grid, right? Use white space actively, right? Think about hierarchy when it comes to the type of fonts that we choose. We're also going to look at it, because we're going to do all these things so we can control the document. So we are in charge of where things go. So in the case of Project 1A specifically, we're going to avoid using templates. We are going to be in charge of the document as opposed to a template being in charge of the document, right? We're going to decide what font goes where, bold, italics, serif fonts, sans serif fonts, those kind of things. We are going to decide and make those decisions based on what we're learning. All right, so you guys did a really good job. Just by way of friendly reminder, we're called by Friday. We do our discussion board post, and I'll post that discussion soon. What we're going to talk about this week, finishing up reading everyone's posts from the weekend. I'll get those graded and posted this week as well for you. So week two, we're going to kind of solidify as we're talking about what is technical communication, right? We read about it last week. You guys posted about it last week. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about Project 1A. We'll talk more about Project 1B and get into some of those design principles as they apply. So read closely and carefully the Project 1A and Project 1B assignment descriptions that are posted on our Canvas page. And out of our Practical Strategies book, read Chapter 10. It's all about applying for a job, right? Because part of Project 1A is not just building a resume. We want to build a resume for a specific job posting, right? So we're going to find a posting specifically in the field that we are going to go into or going to go into or desire to go into, right? Pretend like we are, we've got our degree or degrees in hand. We're ready to go out into the marketplace. And we'll also talk about writing cover letters as part of Project 1. And then read Chapter 1 in our upstream book, right? Recall, we're going to talk about solving problems and looking more upstream. That's part of our moving upstream. And we'll have a discussion about a couple of those basic concepts and ideas and principles over that at the end of this week. So our main goal is to understand the relationship between technical communication and design. I think we started to get that concept from what I'm reading. I think we're all understanding what that is. We'll talk about that a little bit more. We want to prepare to evaluate our own design choices, right? So we sit down to do Project 1A, and we've got a blank page, and we know that there's information, who we are, our objectives, our education, our work experience, any other type of experience that we're going to put in there, whether it's a skills, resume, or whatever, right? What are the design choices that we are going to make, right? We are going to be in charge of those. Then begin to develop a plan of how these design choices will be useful for those projects and lay the foundation this week is, of course, about what it means to move upstream as we start thinking about our future projects. All right, so that's kind of the overview for the week. I'll be back to talk to you more specifically about our discussion this weekend and make that connection from their discussions over this past weekend. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay awesome, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.